Hello, and welcome to The Brewview, the podcast where we sit down with your favorite Kendama players over a cup of coffee and dive deep into this game that we all love. Because Kendama is more than just a ball and a cup. I'm your host, Adam, and I am incredibly excited to dive into today's episode with Pineapple Pro player and good friend, James Wetherell. James is a West Coast Kendama player with a love for coffee and an incredible hand-eye coordination when it comes to inward lunar rovers, currently holding the inward lunar rover record. So I'm excited to dive into that with him and his love for coffee and his love for this game because James has been around forever, competing, engaging, and being a part of the Pineapple Kendama team. And I can't wait to share coffee with him. Speaking of coffee, though, I do got to tell you about my favorite coffee brand that I've been hyping up all month long, and that is Onyx Coffee Lab. Onyx Coffee Lab is an Arkansas-based roaster, and they are really my ride or die coffee brand right now. They are all focused about the art and science of coffee. And if you've been following my Instagram or podcast in a few weeks, you know that I am really hyped about them. You see, the coffee industry is filled with a lot of cost cutting, poor ethics, standards, and honestly, not that great of coffee. But Onyx is different. They build farmer first relationships. They share their prices very transparently. You can look at all their prices of their coffee down to what they pay their farmers and their staff and their employees, all the way up to the CEO. So you know exactly what is going on behind the scenes at their company. And not to mention, they make dang good coffee. I recently just got another order from them, and I ordered a collab roast that they did with the rapper Andy Mineo, who's the guy who did the famous TikTok "Coming in Hot" song. And I'm excited to dive into that this week. I just brewed some decaf tonight because we are doing a late night review with James. These are all reasons that I did decide to partner with Onyx Coffee Lab. And I think that if you are looking to get into specialty coffee or you are wanting to up your brewing game or just try something new, Onyx is a really great option. And it also goes to support the show here at the Brewview. And you can head to onyxcoffeelab.com or click the link in the description and use code Brewview10 and save yourself 10%. That works on coffee, on brewing tools like AeroPresses, and all their merch. Like what I'm wearing today. I ordered this myself. It's so comfy. So guys, head to onyxcoffeelab.com and use code Brewview10 to save yourself some money and get some good coffee today. With all that said, let's get ready to dive into this week's episode with James and get him on here, and let's dive in. James,
Adam, what's going on?
I am incredibly excited to have you on here. Welcome to the first ever
I know.
Brewview via Zoom, the Zoom view.
Seriously, crazy, man. I'm glad you got it figured out, though. Those past couple weeks seemed a little hard, but I'm glad that we could figure it out. And I'm super stoked to be on. It's super exciting.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to get you on in particular for a couple of reasons. One is we haven't had anyone from Pineapple on in a long time since we had Ryan on in first season of Review. And honestly, that was one of my favorite episodes of the first season. And we can talk a little bit about Pineapple as we kind of dive in. But I love Ryan, first off, because he is this young entrepreneurial minded kid who decided at like what age, what was it, 16 or 15? I'm going to start a Kendama brand. And now today, that brand exists in the sphere of the Kendama world and they have sponsored players, and you are one of them. It's so cool to me.
Yeah, Ryan is a super awesome dude. He is insanely smart, and to start a company at 15 is crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out, yeah, shout out Ryan and his dad. Like they both grind pineapple, and it's super cool to see how it's formed today.
Oh yeah. He's up to some cool stuff too. He's working on YouTube channel stuff. He's working on a whole lot of different projects. The guy is a serial entrepreneur and he's got a really good knack for aesthetics and just branding and building those things. And you could just see it even in my conversation with him last year. It was really easy to see that the guy knew what he was doing, and he wasn't just some like 15-year-old kid who stumbled into luck. It was no, he's a 15-year-old kid who knows what he's doing. Anyways, great episode. If you're listening to this, go and listen to that episode too, because it's a fantastic one from season 1 that I think is in the top couple episodes that have ever been done on the review. One of my personal favorites.
It's a good one, for sure.
But with all that said, James, I love asking a few warm-up questions before we get too deep into the conversation. These are the standard questions that I usually ask every guest that comes on the review. as a way of just standardizing the process here. Like coffee, when you can boil down a good system, you're always going to end up with a good cup of coffee. And I believe the same about a good podcast. If we ask them some of the same questions, we can get a good foundation before we get too deep into the convo today. So I want to know, James, are you drinking anything tonight? And if so, what are you drinking?
Yes, I am. Even though it's 5 p.m., I'm still drinking coffee on the Brewview. It's a must. You can't not
Oh,
drink coffee. I got some Stumptown because you got to rep Portland. You know, I'm in Portland.
yes.
Stumptown is like the number one coffee roaster in Portland. So you gotta rep the best. You know.
Stumptown's big, man. Stumptown, I know you and I have talked about this even in DMs, but Stumptown is not even just big in Portland. Stumptown is like a big roaster. They're very well known across Canada in the specialty barista scene. Like if you were into coffee, you know of Stumptown. Now, sadly, I actually haven't tried Stumptown yet. They're one of the few brands that are kind of in the upper echelon of brands that I haven't actually personally tried, and I'm kind of holding out. I want to go to Portland to have my first cup of Stumptown coffee at a Stumptown cafe. So I'm holding out on them. I jumped the gun on Onyx. I ordered some Onyx, but I really want to go to Arkansas just to go to one of their cafes. They're beautiful. I want to meet the team. The hope is to actually get someone from their team on the podcast at some point to chat about their process and really dive into the coffee scene and do a little bit of that. But have you been to the Stumptown cafes?
I have, yeah. On my previous job, actually, we used to deliver some Stumptown. So I would actually go into the cafe, I don't know, once every several months or so and pick up some bags of coffee, deliver to some offices every now and then.
Oh,
Super
sick.
cool, yeah, super cool vibe in there. You know, always got lo-fi playing. It's a cafe, you know, gotta have
Yeah.
lo-fi.
Oh, dude, that's my dream, man. I've talked about this. I don't know if I've actually talked about this on the podcast, but one of my long-term dreams is to own a cafe, but not just like just for coffee. I want it to be like a center that people come to and they seek improvement. A cafe kaizen or whatever I'd call it, where it's all about continuous growth. It's centered around the principles of Kendama, around coffee, all of the art of growth, and for it to just like be centered around these things. And obviously, it has to have lo-fi music playing. I love lo-fi.
Yes, I would love to see that. You gotta have like if you're opening your cafe, you gotta have some type of display Kendama in the store, cafe brand name on
I
it.
know. One day we'll finally get a cafe Kendama one
Yeah,
day in
that's
the
cool.
future.
I'd
We'll
love
we'll
to.
hold out for that for a little bit. But okay, that's super cool. So you're drinking a nitro cold brew. That thing is packed with caffeine.
It
Those things
is.
are super caffeinated.
I definitely I like my caffeine. I gotta say, I'm a coffee guy. I
Are you
mean,
gonna sleep tonight or what?
well, I do kind of go to bed late. I mean, I do work in the morning, but I could probably get some better sleep every now and then. But I usually don't have a problem with caffeine and not being able to sleep.
Fair, fair. I
So
do. So I actually brewed some decaf this morning. I never order decaf coffee because I'm not usually an evening coffee drinker. In the evening, I'll just like drink water or something. Every now and then, I'll make tea, but not even that often. I'm like a coffee in the morning, and that's pretty much it. But Onyx, when I ordered my box, like the catalog box, it came with 12 different coffees in it. One of them was a decaf, and I'm like, I'm never gonna drink this. But then we planned this in the evening, and it's like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for me to try their decaf coffee. So this is decaf.
it's a good
But
moment for
decaf still usually has some small strain of caffeine in it, but it's not enough to keep me up, I don't think. Caffeine's wild, man. There's so much research there. I could nerd out on caffeine for a little bit, but I'll save that for another time. I don't feel like this is the time to nerd out on caffeine. But there's some cool research on like napping and your sleep
wow.
cycles and half lives of caffeine and all that good stuff. If you nerd out about caffeine and there's people listening to this, hit me up in the DMs and I will nerd out hard with you about the effect of caffeine on your sleep, your mood, all those things. It's fun.
I would love to know some stuff about that for sure.
Heck yeah, man. No caffeine. If you're a late night sleeper and you're drinking caffeine, you're just killing your sleep, man. Don't do it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, I want to know, James, if you could teach any one person their first spike, either past or present, who would it be?
I've thought about this one for sure because like a little bit
You
ago,
knew it was coming.
yeah, I was listening to some episodes at work actually, because I drive for work, so it's just the perfect time to listen to the review. It makes the shift go by pretty fast, which is nice. So yeah, I was listening to those in the car for a while, and I was kind of thinking about it when listening. I think probably like Albert Einstein or something.
Oh,
Albert
so,
Einstein, like I don't know if anyone said that, but just
yeah, I don't think so.
yeah, just being a smart guy, like all about physics and math and everything about, math and physics around life. I think he would like, if he were to do his first big cup, I was teaching him his first spike or big cup, I feel like he would just really like get into all the physics about kendama or something.
He'd try and design the perfect kendama. He'd
Yeah.
go full. What was that YouTube video where Adam Savage or whatever his name is? What's their, not MythBusters, whatever they're called. They created a kendama. Do you know what I'm talking about? They created a
I've heard of
kendama that had like basically infinite spin on the tama, so that way they could pull it up and basically perfect spike it every time because of the spin. Do you know what I'm
That's
talking
amazing.
about?
I haven't seen that. I mean, I know the show, but I haven't actually seen that.
Oh my gosh, it's a big video. Make kendama. Hold on, I'll pull it up here.
Nice.
You've never seen this video? It's Adam Savage
Yeah.
and V Sauce's Michael Stevens build a kendama. It's got like 4.5 million views on YouTube.
No
Uh,
way.
let me show you this. It's so cool.
I
Uh,
can hear your screen now, huh?
I can. I know this is perfect, right? This is exactly what we wanted.
Nice
Okay.
step for you.
All right. Let me pull this up here. Okay. So you can see this. They build this kendama. They show like a demo of one here. Can you hear this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so they have this old, I don't even know what kind of kendama this is. Maybe you can even tell. It looks something super old or from Dollarama or whatever. Maybe like a Caleb kendama. And basically they go through this process of trying to build a kendama that is like perfect, essentially. And I don't even remember the material they use. It's been a long time since I've watched this. But like where is it? Yeah, they're like measuring everything. They're getting really down into the science of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've never seen this.
What? It's like 58 minutes of them building a kendama on YouTube. Where's the finished product?
Maybe I saw it before.
Is this it? Yeah, I think because they make it out of like some sort of like polypropylene. Anyways, let me back out of there. All right, let's see if we can get you back. So anyways, they go through this whole process of building a kendama on there. I thought it was super cool. But you've never seen this video?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I feel like that would be Albert Einstein, right? He'd dive deep into like the science of how you could do a perfect big cup or the measurements and stuff. And we'd come out, the kendamas we'd have today would be so different if Albert Einstein had got his hands on one.
He would have been the originator of like crazy dimensions on a kendama or something.
Yeah, definitely not JK approved.
No, he's trying to do like 1440 Rovers or something.
Yeah. You've hit a 1440, right?
Oh, I wish. The most I did
You've
was
hit the 1080.
1080. I've been trying, like I might go for 12. I think the next rotation is 1260.
Is that 14. From inward to regular?
Yeah, it's like that's a 1260, which I've like thought about doing this year, but I know that's going to be another like 10 hours of trying it. Like that was the 1080. Was like, I think about 10 hours of repeated, like just different sessions. Like I touched with so many different people in Portland, just grinding for that trick, trying to film, and so many people saw so many close attempts, and they're like, "Dude, it's this one. It's gonna be this one." Shout out Chris Goon. He watched like probably most of the progress of that trick build up, and then I actually ended up sessioning alone at the same park because I think I needed to be in my own mental space for that trick.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have anyone with you when you hit that?
No, it was just at my local park. I didn't even plan on filming that day. That's actually very typical for me. I usually end up lacing my tricks when I don't plan to film. Like I'm just like I have some free time. I have like an hour or two. Like I'm gonna go film, see if I can get something. That's usually 90% of the time when I go and get a trick. And it was that day, and it was on the super OP setup I made. It was the hand turn XR, like the Spectra sword, and then the heavy maple Serato. So I knew it was just gonna kind of magnetize the Rover, at least look like it's magnets. But yeah, that day I just ended up going and I got it in like 30 minutes or something. I was actually like kind of messing around with some other tricks because that's kind of what I do when I try and get a trick. I like to get my mind off something and then go back to it. That's exactly what I did with that trick. It was like I was trying it for maybe 5 minutes, kind of messed around with a completely different concept. And then that next try, I went to it and got it, and I was like so shocked. I couldn't even believe it was there. Like I thought it was 720 actually because it was so fast.
Yeah. So it caught you off guard when you hit it. You weren't expecting to hit it that day.
No, I wasn't. But I
Dude,
knew it was
that's the
close.
way it always happens, right? You're like never expecting. I think that's actually like the beauty of kendama. It kind of teases you that way, right? You're like playing, you're grinding. You really want to hit the trick that day, but the trick doesn't want to be hit. And you're
Yeah,
like pushing and pushing. And then the next day you come back and you like go for it like 5 times maybe. And the next thing you know,
yeah,
you're like, oh, what the crap? I
yeah,
just hit it.
yeah. And sometimes it's hard to kind of accept that patience factor because you can't like sometimes in the back of your mind, you know, you should probably stop, but you just want to keep going. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for me, when I keep going, I kind of like get more frustrated, at least when it's to the point where I'm grinding for something. And sometimes kind of want to like really want it. And then most of the time, for me at least, you just keep kind of pushing, you get sweaty, you're getting
Mm-hmm.
tired. You just got to take a break. You got to stop.
Oh yeah, I don't usually get that upset with Kendama, but I had had like a stressful week, and we were at a jam last week. Yeah, I think like last week Saturday, and it's like plus 35 degrees out or plus 37. It's like, and this is Celsius. This is like 98 degrees Fahrenheit. It's really hot, and
Yeah,
it's humid. I'm sweaty. We're in a public park. I'm getting so frustrated and sweaty. I end up taking my shirt off to film this trick because I'm just like
yeah,
literally losing my mind. And I had hit this trick. I was going for inward lunar, triple tap jug, two tap jug, one tap push back to
ooh,
inward lunar. And
that's
I had
nice.
hit it in my bedroom in like 10, 20 tries, kind of by like accident, by fluke. And so I had already known that I could hit the trick. And then I was grinding it there for like half an hour, and just sweating buckets and dripping. I was
Yeah,
getting viscerally mad. And I never throw my kendama on the ground, like hardly ever. And I almost snapped the string. I was getting so upset with myself. And I was just so in my head because I knew that I could hit it because I've already hit it. And that almost drove me more insane. And sometimes now I'm like, I hate landing new tricks off camera because then when I try to refilm them later, it feels like I should have already got it by now. You know? Do you ever get that?
yeah. I mean, most of the time for me, if I get a new trick, I know like I'm planning to film it. So like most of the time I'm just gonna film like the trick I'm going for, at least for like a post kind of trick.
Hmm.
If I'm messing around with new concepts, like a more of a general simple line, I won't film it. But I know
Yeah.
what you mean for sure. Like
Yeah. Well, I had no idea I was gonna hit it in my bedroom. If I knew I was gonna hit that, I would have filmed it. Like I was just like, oh, I wonder if I could do this. And I like took like a couple attempts. I was like, oh, trip tap, two tap, one tap. Oh crap, I hit it. And then I hit it with like
yeah.
a stunt fast finish ender. And I was like, oh, so I got it.
Yeah, yeah, that happens to me sometimes. I'm like, uh-oh, like I should probably I should
Yeah.
probably film this.
Absolutely. Okay. One more question before we get too deep into the combo here. Who is the most inspiring player to you in the Kendama community today?
Oh man, it's such a good question. It's actually crazy how much of a hard question that is for me because all the just all the styles and concepts nowadays, it's so hard to pick just one. But I was thinking about this and I gotta say I really like Marcus Lander. Marcus Lander's style and play is really cool to me. I like his contortion tricks are just insane. Like what he does with the string, not many other people do.
Yeah.
He comes up with some really cool stuff that I would probably choose to do. Like if I were to choose a different style of play, it would probably be something along the lines of Marcus Lander.
Dude, Marcus Lander is incredible. Lander Lingo was one of my favorite edits that's come out recently. You've seen the edit, right?
Yeah,
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 that is so fire. And Marcus is one of those guys that sometimes I think he just goes away for a hot minute and like goes into a forest and he talks to some little woodland elves that teach him all these new things. And he comes
yeah,
back and then he's like, "Let me show you what I've just learned." Kind of like Ben Harold, right? Ben Harold, the Ben Harold's another kind of beast though, because Ben Harold like teases you.
yeah,
He's like doing normal tricks on his Instagram post and he's on his stories. And he's really active there, but you have no idea the grind that he's putting for some massive edit behind the scenes that you don't even have a hot clue of what that thing's going to do to the Konami community, right?
absolutely.
So those characters in the Kanama community are some of my favorite people because you don't know what they're doing or what they're working on, and they can almost kind of like slide back under the radar for a minute, and then they come back, and it's like
Yeah,
bam, and they just
I
hit it
love that.
every time they come back, and it feels incredible. Like it gives me
Totally.
excitement.
Come back with yeah, like, they come back with the bang. That's for sure. You know they're cooking up something in there. I don't know what they're eating, dude, but I can't eat what they're eating. I don't know where to find it, but it's
Yeah.
nowhere near me.
They are cooking. They're always cooking. The stove's never off for them. They're so good. There's a handful of people like that, man, that are always kind of behind the scenes working on that stuff. And I feel like you're kind of also like that a little bit. I don't see you posting as like regularly or as like always up in everybody's face. Oh, check this new trick I hit. Check this new trick I hit. Check this new trick I hit. It's like, no, no, no. Let me slow it down a little bit and watch me hit this new trick with Rovers or whatever you're working on at the time that no one's really done before. And you've
Yeah.
always kind of been patient with your uploads. I don't think I've ever seen you feel like, oh, I just need to see another James clip, or maybe you feel that pressure, but at least it doesn't come across that way to me. Do you feel that?
I totally know what you mean. I mean, I don't feel pressure really. I mean, I kind of used to, at least kind of like when I first got on Pineapple, I was like, oh man, do I have to start posting more? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to make it a chore. That's for sure.
Hmm.
If it becomes a chore to me, I know that I'm doing something wrong. I mean, I don't want to like force myself to film. That's for sure. I definitely am kind of, I guess, similar to what we were talking about with Harold and Mastic. You kind of like, just take a break, kind of like think to yourself like a concept that you want to try for a little while, and just like I said, I don't really plan to film much. It's just like when it feels right. That's what I
Right.
like. You film when it feels right. Like my last trick I got, I literally worked for like 9 hours that day, and right after work, I was pretty tired. I mean, it's a pretty physical job, so it's hard to film after work. But I kind of felt something cooking up, so I was like, all right, I want to go try this string pinch trick because I don't see many people do those linear string pinches. So I was like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna go try 1, 2, 3 version. And originally, I was actually playing a Rover trick, and then it just wasn't happening. So I turned that off completely from my mind, and I was like really liking these string pinches. And then
Hmm.
it happened like I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes. So that's kind of yeah, definitely a thing with me is I don't like to force it. I like to, yeah, definitely sit and kind of meditate on it.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. How long have you been playing Kendama for?
I started back in September of 2014, so coming up on 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. So you've been playing about a year longer than me, a year and a bit, past me. And you got sponsored by Pineapple, what, 20, was it like
18.
17, 18?
Yeah, it was at MKO 2018 when we announced.
And there's an interview of you from that year, I think, on YouTube, or it's like the year after. I remember I was watching that before I got you on here. Was that the
Yeah,
year
that
you were
was it.
sponsored?
Yep. Yeah, that was me when I was like a year on.
Okay, so you had already been on the team for a year because I remember it being recorded at MK or NACO or whatever it was called at the time. I never know. What was it, 2018, 19? Who knows?
Yeah, out of MKO 2018. That was so much
I think so. I remember like seeing you there, but
fun.
back then I was this like weeb of a kid who didn't really like feel comfortable reaching out to people or talking to people. MKO 18 was my very first event that I ever went to. It was the last year that we went to the Mall of America, and I was like humbled and blown away that there were even some pros that like would talk to me. I remember like I sat next to Kenyatta and Haley Bischoff at the front watching the main stage for a little bit, and they were so chill chatting with me, and I'm like, you don't even know who I am. I didn't know anybody, but I nobody knew me, but I knew people. I was like, I've seen you all. It was such a surreal experience, and I knew who you were because you're like, oh, that's the guy who's on Pineapple. But I don't think I really like knew you back then or really knew much about you because you had been on the team for what, a year?
At AKO 19.
That would have been 18, 2018.
That's right as I got on Pineapple was that year.
Oh,
KO 2018 was the first day of MKO, or maybe it was the second day, but that was when I got sponsored by Pineapple.
and was that announced at MKO?
It was. I mean, it
Oh,
was
okay.
like it wasn't like there wasn't like a promo vid
Hmm.
like on stage. It was kind of low key. I mean, like we announced it on the Instagram page, but it seemed like a lot of people at the event. I mean, I definitely had people coming up to me that congratulated me. I was super hyped because Sweets, like Sweets came up to me when I was grinding, and I was like a little bit more like, I was a little bit more like, oh, look at all these pros kind of deal because MKO was my first big event. So Matt Sweets came
That
up to
was
me and
your
was like,
first event too?
it was my first big event.
Okay.
I went to local ones around Portland, like
Yeah.
local jams, but it was definitely my first like huge comp.
Dude.
And yeah, and competing in open too. Oh my god, I could explain that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
no,
But,
get into it. Talk to us
yeah,
about it. That was your
it
first open division experience?
first open division experience. Um, oh man, it was just so unexpected. The pressure with open and competing. It
It
was
comes for you. It gets you.
crazy. Like I grinded so hard. Me and my buddy Riley, he's not in the Kendama scene anymore, but
That's RK's kid, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of quit back like maybe like a year and a half ago, maybe coming up on 2 years. But he actually got me on Pineapple. Shout out to Riley. But we would practice like every week for MKO 2018, just meet up. He's probably like 15 or 20 minutes away, but we would just randomize all the tricks, and we got pretty honed at them. Like I felt really good about it, and I had everything dialed in pretty well. Like maybe 3 or 4 tricks I was like kind of iffy about, but the day of MKO 2018, like first day up on stage, I was like holy shit, this is insane. Like
Mhm.
all the people watching me on stage, it was just like I was shaking pretty hard. I mean, I know that's pretty common to new competitors, but
Do you
yeah,
think you had extra pressure because you just got announced as the
I think I think
pineapple guy?
yeah, I did for sure. And I was going against Josh Kim, someone who was already pretty experienced at competing.
Mm.
And it was super fun competing with the guy. He definitely took me out quick.
But
Um,
was that was before they added double elimination, right? Was that single elim?
I was single limb. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last year they did single elimination.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. They did double elimination because
My
I remember
bad.
that was the year that Alex Mitchell ended up
Yeah.
almost taking down Canada in the finals, which was an epic match. That was the most hype I've ever been.
Me too. That was the most hype moment I think I've ever watched in a comp, dude. That was crazy. That was insane. But yeah, going back to my first experience, it was definitely a lesson learned, and kind of branching off from that first day, I've gotten better at competing with open. Um, but yeah, it's a good memory for sure.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Josh Kim, he was super nice to compete
Yeah.
with.
Josh would be such a nice competitor. I feel like he'd like destroy you, but in the nicest way possible.
He was
He'd be
pretty
like,
so quick, dude. And he pounded on the shoulder. He's like, dude, you did great. Like, you know,
you did great. You're gonna be the best. Man, I'm rooting for you. You just beat me. Chill.
I was so shook. And I looked to Ryan and I was like, dude, that was not what I expected. He's like, it never is. Like, because he did, he's done some competitions back then, but yeah, Ryan's a super chill guy about that anyways. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Okay, well, catch us up to kind of the buildup of where you were before MKO and Pineapple and some of the early days of Kendama for you. Like you got into it from what I recall, from what I had seen doing my research, is you got into it via skateboarding. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Correct. Um, yeah, so I was at my local skate park here in Westland, just out of Portland. It's actually like right down the road where I first picked up a kendama. Um, so that day, just normally skating, I had a homie of mine, a little older. He had gotten a kendama maybe like the week before or something. And it was classic first kendama that people see it is either an Azora, TK16, or a tribute. And it was a tribute.
Mine
Acoustic
was a
tribute.
Caleb Kendama. I don't know, man.
You know,
I'm a different vein.
yeah. So he showed me the tribute, and I saw him doing hand rolls, and I was like, "What is that?" I was like, "This is crazy." So I had to go up to my friend and ask him what this is. He's like, "Oh, it's called kendama." I was like, "Say that again. What is it, kendama?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's like he was like, it's kind of like skating," and I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "It's kind of like skating." I'm like, "How so?" He's kind of explaining like the kind of how the progress with tricks kind of the same as skating, like how you have to kind of really try for a trick to get something and feel satisfied. So I tried it, and I was trying hand rolls, and obviously I couldn't get it, but right as I saw it off the bat, I was like, this is sick. I'm gonna get into this. And I know it's either that, or I know I've heard a lot of people say too when they first get into it, they like didn't like it or kind of made fun of it, and that was definitely not me.
That was me.
Yeah, I was 16. Yeah, so back then, you could be either like, this is really weird, or be like, this is sick. And for me, I was like, this is sick. It's kind of like skating. I like skating.
Mhm.
So like, I used to say it's kind of like skating with your hands.
Yeah,
It's
and it is, right? And there's a lot of transferability. It's like you're kind of like mentally processing the tricks the same way, but with way less risk. Skateboarding scares the crap out of me, man. But skateboarding kids get it too. Like they see this and it like starts clicking so much quicker. I was at a skate park in Saskatchewan literally this past weekend. I was out visiting my old roommates And I took my bike and I went to the skate park there, and there was a bunch of kids who were kind of being all standoffish, whatever, they're trying to be cool. I'm like 25 years old hanging out at this skate park, right? And so all these kids are like, who's this old fart here? And then I'm just chilling. I'm like beat. I'm with another friend there and he's still riding for a bit. And I like whip out my kendama. And next thing I know, like all these like kids just kind of like turn and they're like, what is that thing? And
Yeah.
slowly but surely, I think I first teed like an airplane 1.5 juggle spike or something, and this one kid just like verbally like, oh shit, and he was like, oh, that was so sick, man. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And next thing I know, this kid's like, oh, can I try it? And he's like messing around, having fun with it, and he can't get it right away, but then he like gets it, and he's like, oh yeah, this makes sense, and it just like
Yeah.
clicks because he's so used to like the process of like understanding kinetic motion. And it was so cool to watch him pick it up so fast.
Right.
Airplanes within like 5 tries. It was crazy.
Crazy. That is insane. It took me
Was that
forever
you
to
as well? Did you pick it up quick?
for me, I probably not as quick because I really didn't have many people to play with.
Oh
And
yeah,
this the guy who showed me, he was a straight beginner too. So
but he could hand roll.
all he taught me really was like, the classic spin the Tama spike. I did that the first day. But it took me forever even to land a first lunar. It's probably months because
Oh yeah.
those shapes,
Well, back then, yeah.
getting a lunar on those shapes is tough. So it took me months. And I remember just like before class in high school, I would just try lighthouses or lunars. I remember my first lighthouse was like right before, like, I don't know, my fourth or fifth period class. And I was so hyped. Like I was just thinking about it all class. It took me probably, I don't know, 2, 3 months to even land a lighthouse.
Yeah. Dude, I remember those days. My first lunar was landed on the Easy mod, the V1 Sleigh Dog. And that was back when the lull clear was just sticky as ever. Ash Ken on there. It was amazing. And there was a guy at my college who played, and I wasn't like super close with him at the time. And I looked up to him like a legend because he had been playing for years. He picked it up in high school. He could double stilt flip or triple stilt flip. And I could hardly pull it up onto like Lighthouse at this point in my Kendama career. And he finally like taught me lunar, and he was so consistent and good at it. Like he would do it sitting down. I was like, this guy's a freaking legend. And so I like grinded and grinded to learn how to do lunar. I did all the cheater way possible, all the cheater ways possible to get to the point. Like I'd start on Lighthouse, drop to lunar, and it took me forever. It never clicked until like one day it just did. And next thing I know, I can lunar. And it was the most satisfying day in my economic career, the day I could pull up to lunar. That was the trick that I
Yeah,
think changed my game for me.
I can
'Cause-
relate for sure.
Dude,
Yeah.
oh, that's super cool. So you got into skating. Do you still skate now?
Not as much as I used to. I still love and appreciate skating so much. But I don't do it as much as I used to. Every time I do it though, I have just as much fun as I used to when I went. I used to be, skate hard every single day, like go level up, go learn something new. It got to the point where I
Hmm.
was learning new tricks quite a bit. And then kind of like after high school, maybe like 3 years after high school, something like that, it started to slow down a little more. Um, I know that risk factor and with my job and upcoming career, I can't afford to get super hurt. So, it was mainly that and shifting to, focusing on Kendama a lot as well. But yeah, shout out skating. I love skating. Yeah, without skating, I wouldn't be playing Kendama today. Maybe I would have gotten into it another way, but yeah,
Yeah.
really
What
branch.
kind of skating style did you have? Were you like a park, street,
I was
bowl?
vert. I mean, I'm into vert still. Not like, I mean, I like to flow in big bowls kind of
Yeah.
deal. I have like maybe a little bit of street knowledge, but not much. But I love vert skating. My favorite type of skating is probably mini bowl style, where it's nothing super big, but it's kind of like a half pipe kind of like bowl where you can
Yeah.
do kind of more like freestyle techie kind of tricks. I love like freestyle techie kind of tricks on a skateboard is
Sharp
what
corners, stuff like
yeah, just
that.
really
Yeah.
quick stuff. And yeah, just kind of like insta like tricks on a kendama, but on a skateboard.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that, especially with Rovers, like that motion of like whipping around a corner. Uh, I bet
Right.
you probably get like a small taste of that every time you do a Rover. I watched a kid at the skate park, no, whatever day it was, like Sunday when I was driving home. And he was like probably like 10 years old, and he was so good in the bowl. He
Oh wow.
flew around and whipped around. He was doing every stall known to man on the edges, grinding everything, and just consistent as ever. Like I was like, this kid doesn't hardly mess up on bull riding, and it was so cool to watch because I don't think I'd ever seen anyone in person ride that way before. And this bull was so perfect for it. It had just a shallow enough lip. Anyways, it was like a really cool style of riding, something that I resonated with. I watched it and I was like, I like that kind of riding more than I like the techie grind rail ledges stuff. Do you find that to be something comparable to your style of kendama play? Like, do you see that?
I, I haven't thought about it a lot, but I think it translates into some of my style, at least maybe like with Rovers a little bit, with maybe how I liked flow a lot. I kind of like how the flow with Rovers feels, so maybe it kind of dials in. Maybe with instas on. I think insta should be considered a trick in skating because so
Mm.
many like technical tricks on skating you could consider it an insta because it's instant. You could totally call it
Right.
trick and skateboarding insta, and I really liked quick tricks and flowy tricks too. So I think
Yeah.
that yeah, it could totally translate into the style that I play for sure.
That's cool. That's super cool. Okay, so you said that you're kind of putting skating kind of not to rest entirely, but kind of to the side, especially as you're
Yeah,
focusing
I
on your
mean, it's
career
more
work.
just yeah, it's definitely just full recreation. Obviously, I don't take it seriously as I used to.
Yeah.
Um,
Was it something you wanted to take pretty seriously? Were you that kid that was like, "Oh, I want to make something of myself in this space. I want to become a sponsored rider. I want to travel." Like, was that the ambition originally?
I had like in the back of my mind thought about it. If I kept going, maybe it could get to that point. I mean, I had this like small. It wasn't. I want to consider it a sponsorship. It was maybe like a small team that maybe lasted like a month. It was like a clothing brand. Um, that was the closest sponsorship I kind of came to, but I want to count it as a full sponsorship. Just as I said, it was kind of like a team.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think I kind of knew I wanted to just keep it fun
Yeah, that's cool.
nowadays. Keep it fun. I
That's
kind of know
cool.
the limits. I don't want to take it too hard and maybe risk something. But
Yeah,
it
yeah,
all
I
showed.
feel that.
It started the journey.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, so you were playing kendama, you were skateboarding, and at what point did you realize like kendama was going to become something more than just that thing that you picked up every now and then, where it started, owning more of your day, more of your life, to the point where you're like, oh, I kind of want to invest into this thing.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely like right after high school. Because before that, I was playing my junior and senior year, and it was really just mainly like just kind of simple play. I wasn't really aiming to learn like a lot of new things. And there's a big reason for that too, is because I didn't even know there's an Instagram community for 2 years in my first starting of Kendama.
Oh, really?
I knew it was like I only watched YouTube videos really, and I would watch like people do some tricks and be like, oh, I'll try that. But for the first 2 years, it was really simple, basic play. Airplanes, lighthouses, a lunar flip, maybe some hand rolls. I didn't even learn juggles till 2 years into Kendama. Um,
Hmm.
but after high school, when I graduated, I had a lot of my friends move out and they went to, different states or, in Oregon still, but kind of far. Um, so I was like, well, I'm kind of bored. I want to pick this up more. So I kind of, I actually looked on Instagram and I was like, I wonder if there's Kendama on Instagram. I typed in hashtag Kendama and I was just blown away immediately.
Yeah. Oh
I was
man, your world just opened up to you because that's where kendama lives, is Instagram.
took me forever to even realize there was that and that there was a huge Portland scene.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about Wyatt Bray or Nick Stott or all those big names in Portland. I
Oh,
didn't
really? You had no idea?
know. No,
Oh,
not
that's nuts. I
just
was
this
gonna
guy in
ask.
West. Yeah, I was just this kid in like 25 minutes south of downtown Portland, just playing with Kendama, and I was just like the lone player down there for years, and I didn't even know about COTK jams or anything until after high school, really, when I went to my first COTK jam as well.
Oh,
And
that's crazy.
yeah, so after that, so after high school, I was really taking it more, and he's like, maybe after I learned juggles a little more, and after I filmed my first clip, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this further. I think I can get better at this thing.
Yeah. So was that after you went to a jam, or so? Okay, when you got on Instagram and you found out that there were these legends that
Yeah.
live in your town, what did you do? Did you reach out to them or what?
I didn't reach out to them because I was like pretty shy. I
You didn't
mean,
simp.
I no,
You didn't
I ain't
simp
saying
over Wyatt Bray.
I wasn't like I wanted to really bad for sure. I kind
We
of
all
held it in.
do. I
Yeah, I
still
held,
do.
I held it in. Uh, but yeah, I think I went to my first COTK jam. It was like rest in peace to the COTK jams, by the way. But um, I think I went to my first one. It was like late summer, August or September of like 2016. So shortly after I graduated, and there
Mhm.
was some OGs there you don't play anymore. You know, like Eli Corey. If people know Eli Corey, used to play
Mhm.
for UT, and he was an old Portland legend. He was there. Nick Stott, Wyatt Bray, Chris Goon. The first person I met was Nick. I didn't even know who he was when he came up to me. And he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, have you met Wyatt yet?" And I was like, "Oh, Wyatt's here." I was like super
Yeah.
hyped.
You don't even know that Nick's a legend and Nick's trying to introduce you to the other people.
Yeah, I
How
just thought
humble. So humble.
I know. Seriously, shout out to Nick. Oh my God, the whole Portland team. Just over the years, it's been awesome. Like just becoming friends with some super OG players who've helped grow the community so much.
Yeah. Did it feel weird for you to kind of slide into that community? Do you feel that when people think of Portland, I think most people in the Kendama community that have been around for a bit, they're like, oh, immediately I think Wyatt Bray. Oh, I think Nick Stodd. And you think of that community, and then like almost in a separate grouping, sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, and James, right? James is also there too. But they had their own community
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
was prehistoric to
yeah.
anything that is modern in Portland. Were you trying to get engaged into that community that they had, or were you still just kind of wanting to do your own thing?
Kind of a mix of both. Because as I said, I was kind of like I held stuff in. I was a little shyer. It did take me a bit to even get like to know them a lot because I was kind of far away. So like I had to go to more jams and more jams to get to know them.
Hmm.
I would say I definitely did want to be a part of that for sure. But they didn't know me really. I was still like I didn't really know much about the tricks back then. So I almost felt like I had to like almost level up to be a part of that. You know what I
Did
mean?
it feel that way? Like, do you think
Like,
that there was some like gate before you could be a part of their crew?
I did. Yeah, I mean, that's the beginner mindset kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm not good enough to like hang with these dudes kind of thing. But at the same time, I knew like it's not like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that they intended for that? Because I think I remember I was listening to Wyatt Bray's episode on the Dominards, and he was talking about like the children of the Ken, and he had this whole like you got to take this thing seriously mentality. Like he held everybody on that squad to like no,
Yeah.
we're
Oh, he
this
pushed
isn't
every.
this isn't some dinky little crew of Kendama players. We're gonna own this city.
Yeah, for
And
sure. He did a great job doing that. I mean,
well,
with
he's a
jams,
grinder.
and
Like
he's a grinder. Yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah. The jams we do now, it's not every week we do it. We should definitely be doing it more, I would say. As the summer creeps up, I'm definitely going to want to hold more jams. We kind of switch off jam, kind of like throwing jams. It's kind of, oh, hey, I'm going to throw a jam, or hey, you're going to throw a jam kind of thing. Let's
Hmm.
meet at the, we kind of go in this one park in Eastside Portland. But um, I definitely want to throw some more this summer and get the group together. There's so many players in Portland, and I
Hmm.
want to bring in new players every time. The last one we had, I saw, I think he's maybe 3 or 4 new players, which is really cool. Um, and I think I've thought for years that there needs to be a Portland Open Kendama comp.
Oh, totally.
I don't
Yeah,
know
why
why.
wouldn't there be?
Yeah, I mean, there's been small jams, but I think it'd be really cool to see people travel into Portland and compete, kind of like a Tacoma Takeover thing
Hmm.
or Van Dam kind of thing. We need something here in Oregon, like because there's Washington, there's the competitions there to come and take over, and then there's Vancouver, BC, right above there. So we need to do something in Oregon, some
Yeah.
type of Portland Open event, get a good sponsor list, and get a good
And
open.
and truth of the matter is, it's not hard. Like, okay, it's hard. You need to put the time in, and you have to be coordinated and energy and all these things. But like I hosted Brew Battle last year in the middle of
Yeah,
COVID, and we got a good turnout. We had like so many sponsors that wanted to sponsor. It was crazy.
awesome.
And they're amazing. We had the best lineup of sponsors ever for it. Pineapple was on that list. Like it was just like every brand that I wanted to be sponsoring it was sponsoring it. It was great. And we pulled it together in like 2.5 months and made it happen. And I just think more people should do that. I believe, I think it would be so cool that if every state or every province, or at least the ones that have like a big enough population of Kendama players, all hosted their own regional open,
Yes.
and then they would send their winner with like a free pass to NACO or whatever to compete in the pro open, especially in their pro categories. Like create it like a regionals and then nationals, and then you have the World Cup,
That'd be
the
amazing.
tiered systems. Because
Oh,
then you're trying to win a spot at NACO, and you might have to travel to a different province
right.
or a different state to get your like free ticket in or whatever. Oh,
And it's
it'd be
not,
so cool.
like kind of like an Olympic
Yeah.
branch of Japan or something like.
Yeah, or, or it's like you ever watch Dodgeball, the movie? I love that
Oh, of
movie.
course,
and
classic.
and they have to like what they have to beat that team of like girls or whatever to make it to regionals, and then they find out they were doping or something to get a pass. It's like you find out Nick Gallagher's been doping this whole time and you came second to him, so you actually end up going.
Yeah, it's gonna be like in like 10 years, 20 years, you got to start getting tested to compete.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I can't wait for that day. We're gonna find out that all the pros, Ben Harold's been doing steroids.
time. It's yeah. It's like, oh, that's what he's eating. That's what he's cooking up.
Yeah, just wait. We're gonna in like 5 years from now, we're gonna have diet plans for Kendama players. There's gonna be like I'm gonna evolve as a content creator in the community space to creating like curriculums on how to eat as a Kendama player to prepare your body for competition. I'll get into like that vein of Kendama content. I'm
Pretty
selling my
awesome.
course. It's $25. You should sign up.
Yeah, I
I s-
think it's gonna be cool to see how much it like competitions and how many more big competitions branch out over the years.
yeah. Do you like competing?
I do like competing. I don't take it insanely seriously like some do.
I wouldn't see you as a guy who takes it super seriously. I think you would take
Yeah,
it seriously, like you train for it, but I don't think you're like, oh, I need to do this, or like, I can't see
yeah.
that in
I
you.
mean, I always sing for open tricks, but I like to be familiar with the list at least, as people should. But overall, with open, I'm like, especially if it's double limb, I'm gonna try my best, but it's not like I'm dying to win, taking it super seriously. It's obviously
Frick my
good.
internet. Yeah, I just I just
I
texted
know.
my roommates. I told them, hey, trying to record a
Yeah.
podcast. We just lost our like Wi-Fi boosters in the house, so my
um,
Wi-Fi has been a little iffy. I need to go and buy stuff.
I
Guys,
wasn't sure if it was mine or
support
not.
the Brewview. Subscribe to Patreon. This goes towards upgrading the quality of this so we don't lose it.
Yeah, or sorry, GoFundMe for Cafe Kendama.
Yeah. I'll put my PayPal link in bio. Send me the bucks.
Yeah. Um, yeah,
I'm
to
just
continue that, yeah, with competing, I don't know which part froze, but overall,
yeah
um,
yeah.
like,
Just talk to us about competition and kind of your take on it. What do you like about it? What do you not?
I think it's really fun. Like open is like super cool for me to compete in, but it's not like I'm taking it super dead on seriously, gotta win kind of thing for my team kind of thing. I know, a lot of big companies who are sponsored by really big ones are, they want to win, especially for the prize, obviously, but obviously to make the company look, like, oh, this company has good competitors. But for me, especially with like Pineapple too, it's like we're not super, focused on competing kind of thing. It's like it's all for, good fun competing. But yeah, I do like to hone in for sure on
Mhm.
tricks. If I end up winning round by round, maybe I'll take it a little more seriously there because I'm like, oh, I actually like I'm getting farther than I expected to,
Mhm.
and I do put myself at a low but also high expectation when I'm competing. Um, because at a big event, it for me, I mean, it's hard to get up there for sure. Nowadays, it's hard. I mean,
There's so much pressure, and the moment that you have like any sort, and the moment you're like sponsored by a brand or that you've done well, people expect that from you, and then
definitely.
you have to hold that. And I think like like you feel like you have to hold that, but you got to let it go, right? Yeah,
Definitely.
you don't,
I
you
don't
can only play for yourself. You can only ever control on that day what you're doing. That's the thing about Kendama that's really interesting. In competitions, it's like you're not even really going against someone. You're going against yourself in
yeah,
that competition, and you just happen to have someone standing across from you. It could be Ben
totally.
Harold, it could be Josh Kim, it could be me. One of those three options is a lot better than the other two, and I'll let you figure out which one that is. But regardless, like it doesn't matter which one of us is playing against you. We don't have any impact on what first trick you're going to do. It's up to you
Sure.
to hit the trick, and it could very well be me, Ben, or Josh Kim. And if you hit all three of your tricks, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. I have no control over you at
It
all.
really does it. You just gotta pretend like you're just playing in your room, like, or just a normal sesh. That's what I like to remind myself of when I, with that mindset, it's for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But
totally.
even nowadays, even with competing, I mean, I'll definitely still get nervous for sure.
Yeah,
But I know it's also great fun.
yeah. I find that in competition, like you were saying, the further in you go, the harder it ends up getting in some ways. But the more serious you start taking it and you start getting better. I know for me, on like my first trick or my first match, I don't take it that seriously because I'm like, I might get knocked out. I might be in. And if not, then I will be out. But if I win, then I take it more seriously. In the second and the third and the fourth round consecutively, the further in I
Yeah,
go, the more serious I get about it. I'm going to
I'll
lose my mind. Apparently, my roommates aren't using the internet, and our internet just sucks and
well, at least
buttholes.
you can get back into it. At least you can
Yeah.
get back into it pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, competing wise, yeah, I just think that the more you go into the comp, further in you go, the more serious it gets. But I don't know if it's the same for everyone. I think that some guys like round one, it's serious and they're just able to like turn that on immediately. I can't. I have to like warm myself up into it. I gotta. It's a little foreplay. I'm like 4 rounds deep, and now all of a sudden I'm competing like a top competitor now because I'm in it like a top competitor, and I'm playing with the top competitors. But at round one, I like don't have buy-in yet. I'm not invested.
I can agree with that for sure. I can relate. I've only, yeah, with competitions, that exact thing was how, like, with taking it more seriously round by round, that was me really at RVKR. It's a smaller competition. I don't know if you heard about it. The Rogue Dama group. It's a small group in Southern Oregon with Edwin's on it. Some other homies down there, Alex Guzman.
Mhm.
Right, they kind of formed a group down there, and they made their own competition called the Rogue Valley Kendama Regional, and that was back in 2019, shortly after NAKO, or no, sorry, shortly before NAKO. But that was the only open comp I placed in, and I got third, almost second against Grove, and then it was a double limb. So he
Uh,
like beat me back, like I beat him first, and then he beat me back. But I still got
uh,
third, which is really cool to me. I mean, even just placing in one open comp is cool. Like I thought
yeah,
that was really fun, and I was stoked. And it was
dude,
on my
that's a
mod too. It was like when the Evergreen mod came out, so I was using that, and I was just stoked. Like it was awesome.
oh, that's super cool. You've had a couple mods now. You're on what? Your third
My
V3?
I'm on my second.
Your
Uh,
second.
There's some plans for a V3, but it was the
Is it?
Evergreen, and then it was, yeah. I brought mine in too.
I got I
Hell
got the silk one here.
yeah, nice. Let's
Are
go.
you a silk or a sticky paint?
Honestly, with this mod, it's like it's really hard to pick because the cocoa clear, it comes very sticky. But the silky, I love for stalls. I don't know. I'd say overall probably sticky, but I love the silk.
Mm.
It's more durable. It's like silk is more durable, but the sticky is just probably overall better for me.
Yeah, I was always well, growing up in Kendama, silk became one of my favorites, but as of late, like silk takes forever to break in to the point where it's like really good, but then when it's there, it's perfect. It's so good. I just like don't have time for the grind anymore to like wear down a silk. I just like am not playing my Kendama that much anymore, like or that hard, or I have so many of them that I literally have like I have three of these like units on the side of my wall here that are all filled with uh I don't know, like what 8 kendamas, and then I got a box, and I got more boxes, and I got the thing with. So I have so many kendamas that like I never get the chance to like break in a good kendama. anymore. It's kind of
I,
sad, man.
I feel that for sure. Um, yeah, and with the silks too, like one thing I like about silk is you can just sesh them, you just grind them because if you smash them in to the ground or whatever, getting a down spike straight to the ground, that's good.
Yeah,
It's
it's
good for
good
the
for it. It likes to be
just sesh
beaten.
them.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yes, sir. Okay. Talk to me about your kendama and talk to me about Pineapple. You are sponsored by Pineapple. I think they're a really neat company in the space. They do a lot of unique things in what they're doing, very niche in its audience as well. Like Pineapple isn't a big brand, but it's been around for a long time. Like I said, and if people want to listen to the full conversation about the brand, they can go listen to the episode with Ryan. But uh, talk to me about why you chose Pineapple or how you got on the team, and then leading up to now being, a pro for the team. Tell us the
Yeah,
story.
yeah. So that kind of branches back to when I was sessioning with Riley back in, it was like 2017 to 2018, maybe a little bit late 2016. Um, but he was sponsored earlier on Pineapple, um, and he kind of got me hyped on the brand. Um, and we were both grinding together, and he said, "Yo, I'm gonna get you on this team." And at first, I was like, "Okay, like I gotta, like I was thinking about it. I was like, that would be cool to be sponsored by this brand. I didn't know if I wanted to be sponsored yet, but I like their damas. It was like the first one I played was more, the Kendamas weren't as big, obviously, but I liked how they played, and I liked how it was a smaller brand too, because I was like, okay, well, if I get on this team, it's going to be fun to like grow the brand because I know it's small. It doesn't go up to, obviously you can't relate it to Sweets or Kusa or
Mhm.
Chrome or just Cole, so it's fun. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get on the smaller team. It's nothing I have to like absolutely like insanely grind for a big team. Harder to get on a big team than a small team for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but back then I was like, all right, I'm gonna take my chances, and I still had to connect and rep for sure to get on. But Riley was kind of my like connection into it, and they definitely needed more, you know, rappers and people to sponsors. So they were already looking for people, and so I was starting to film with them, and thankfully Riley got me on, and I knew like, oh, maybe I could push the brand somehow. And we've definitely, since I got on in 2018, it's grown a lot for sure. And we're still, like people know about Pineapple for sure. It's not like I mean, it's a small brand, but people know about it
Oh,
definitely.
totally. It,
Fun,
it's it's definitely in the zeitgeist or in the social conscious of canoa players. It's
yeah.
definitely present.
And big shout out to Liam. He was the former pro on Pineapple before he got in Soul. He helped Pineapple so much. I mean, he got the name out a lot,
Did
and
he have a pro mod
yeah,
with
like
Pineapple?
just big shout out to, it was in the works. It never
Okay.
released because I think it was like in the works, and then they were gonna release it. And then I don't know the exact timeline, but I know he left before it got released. So I think it was only like a little bit got made or something, but they never got sold on the site. I mean, I've seen some pictures of it and stuff, but yeah, like it was in the works. It just never got released.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember talking to him about, his time on Pineapple and switching to Soul. I don't remember the whole story or if he talked about his Pineapple mod that was in the works or anything like that. But dude, yeah, Liam was obviously like, and obviously now is one of the top players in the world and is really repping Soul. And I mean, sometimes you're like, what if he just stayed with Pineapple? Where would Pineapple be?
That's
You
why I
like
thought
wonder
that.
those questions. But I think he's found a good home there, and now you get to really herald Pineapple. I think you're kind of that front runner for the brand on the player side of things that's really pushing the game forward. You and then now you have two newer teammates in the past year and a bit, Thomas Gomez and Drew Manchu, that are also really pushing the game in their own unique style. That's one of the things I've liked about Pineapple is Pineapple, like generally speaking, like all the players have very unique play styles or very unique expertises.
Totally.
Thomas is very good at pause and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Drew, he's got the pinches and all that wizardry that I still don't understand or comprehend in the slightest. And you have Rovers, and you guys are all masters of your craft in unique ways. And it doesn't really compete or conflict with anyone else or really
Yeah.
any other players out there. You guys have kind of paved your own space and you've all gathered under the roof of Pineapple. And I think that's kind of unique.
I'm glad that you noticed that because that's what I've noticed too. I'm glad that it's shown to the community that each player kind of has their own thing. With me, Thomas, Drew, Ian and Trent and Ross, they all
Mhm.
got their own kind of their craft, which helps push the brand, at least in my opinion. Um, they all kind of they just play their part for the team, and that's kind of how we look for players as well. Is like what can they add to our team in their style? Because we're not looking for kind of like all the same kind of thing. Because I feel
Mhm.
like it can help push a brand, at least in our mind.
Mhm. What do you think is missing on Pineapple? Like, what kind of play style do you guys not have on your team that you're like, oh, it'd be really cool to have someone that is really good at that?
We definitely do not have like a like crazy like spammy kind of style. Like you know what I
Like a
mean?
tap tap juggle, late Ken juggle tap
We don't have
juggle juggle juggle
yeah,
tap tap.
we don't have a big tapper or like creative kind of like spammy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We definitely don't have that, and we're looking for it. I think we need that in our team for sure. We got good flow, good tech, but we don't have like a full like kind of spammy type tech that I think we could benefit off of. Because for playing like going back to playing for Pineapple, like and it being a small brand, it's been like really like I don't know. I think it's important to help grow a small brand, in my opinion, because it's just fun to play for a team that you can see grow. Like the company you can see grow a lot. It being so small compared to these companies, you can kind of see it build up, and it's really fun to do that on Pineapple. Um, Also, speaking of like our orders, like for bulk kendamas, they're not as big, and so obviously we don't have the budget for a big bulk order. And what kind of separates us away from big companies is the quality control. Quality control of our woods, like being small bulk orders, the quality control is going to be, a little higher up there because you're not ordering a large amount of kendamas. That's what I like about it too.
Yeah. And when you're in each company, you get the opportunity to do some cool stuff. Like you guys did a partnership with Evo not that long ago on I can't remember what they were called, but they were the like all black Kens that
Yeah,
you
the
guys did.
XR shape, and I can explain those too.
Yeah, the XR shape. Yeah, talk to us about that a little bit. I remember talking with Ryan a little bit about it, but refresh us because that was a really cool partnership between two Kendama brands that are both unique in what they're doing.
Yeah, so that was dated back in like 2019. Um, Me and Ryan were talking about it. Me and Ryan talk about a lot of the ideas of the future of Pineapple, like almost like behind the scenes kind of deal with decisions. Like we both kind of like make sure we're both okay with it kind of thing. Um, but yeah, we both kind of had the idea of like, oh, what can we do? Like, can we do a hand turn line of kendamas? So we were like, who can we reach out to in the USA who manufactures kendamas? Because back then it used to be RWB.
Hmm.
That's through GT and some other companies were going through RWB like Husa. And I was thinking like, who can we go through to make some like really high quality made kendamas? And I saw Evo on Instagram and I was like, we should reach out to this guy. And he was super nice about it. He was like, yeah, I'm totally up for it. Make like small batch hand turn a little more expensive, and he was all hands in, and that kind of started back in late 2019. um, and the idea of it was super cool because we kind of took input from the community to grow the shape. So every single
Hmm.
drop of the X bill is each one is going to be just a little bit different than the last, and it's going to be like a little better than the last one. So like the next one we got in the works right now, it's like there's going to be some little difference than the last one, which is I like that. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. And are you sticking in a partnership with Evo in doing these launches for these small batch customs?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
totally fun.
that's cool. Kyle's the man, man. He hand turned me a kendama. It's fire. It's so fun.
Super talented guy. Those
Yeah,
bevels huge, dude, on the Evos.
yeah. That
Yeah,
beach on beach is or birch on birch, not beach. Birch on birch is nuts for stalls. I had no idea until I finally got it, and I was like, "What the crap? I can wing flip. I can juggle the wing. I can handle juggle. It's like hitting tricks I've never hit before on stalls.
yeah, big shout out to him for sure. I think he does some. I'm not sure exactly, but I think he does other projects with other companies.
Yeah.
I think he does something with Quill. I think he does the hand turn for them. I'm not
Okay.
100% sure, but it seems like the style of work he does for Quill on their hand turns. I'm pretty sure he's partnered with them.
Yeah.
You guys
I have
collaboration.
no idea, but I'm stoked for it, man. I love and you know what's cool? There's a lot of new hand turn companies kind of sprouting up in the Kendama space. There's Quad Damas. There's another guy, Lutzy Tops. in
Yeah.
Damas or whatever
Yeah.
that long name is. I can't remember. There's another guy who's in BC somewhere on
Oh,
like
really?
Vancouver Island or Victoria. I remember I hit him up a while ago. I was just like, dude, keep it going, stay hyped on it, don't stop. Like,
Yeah.
if you are in the hand turning space, here's the thing I keep telling people. It's like if you can get better at it, build up your operation and start working with smaller brands to start producing small batch, like what Evo's doing, you can slowly build yourself a little hand turning empire, because a lot of the big brands are looking for a better solution that is more local, faster production, and better turnaround times for their kendamas. That was the whole issue of 2020 and 2019 was kendama delays. You have a market opportunity here,
Yeah.
guys. So I think like
Wow.
obviously the hand turners out there right now are still learning and getting there, and it's not the same as like getting on a CNC machine and like programming it to cut the exact same thing the exact same way on all of them. It's an art. It's a process. It'll cost more, but I think it's a really cool place to be.
It is.
So,
Yeah, I've always wanted to try hand turning. I just never had the supplies, and you got to really get yourself in. Like you have to be willing to, spend your money on the wood, and then you don't know if something's going to come out right. It's definitely a full commitment factor, and I love that. It's super cool how you can just perfect the quality control on the kendama through a lathe, which is very
oh yeah.
impressive. The full hand turning. There's someone here in Portland that Dama Miles. I don't know if you've heard of Dama
Uh,
Miles.
that sounds
He,
familiar. Yeah.
my friend in Portland kind of like told him he should start tuning kendamas and selling them because he made one just for fun. Um, and my homie Taden, he was like, "Yo, you should start like selling these. I think you could get a good audience on Instagram." And he totally did. He kind of blew up a little bit on the hand turning side. He turned some soul damas for Battle at the Border. He made like some spec one ups.
Oh, cool.
Super cool.
That is super cool.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
was
know
really.
that.
Yeah, he's like 17 years old, maybe 18 years old now, but yeah, super impressive.
That's super cool. I think a lot of Dama technology is going to be coming to life in the next couple of years in terms of just like what people can do. Uh, whether or not that's like, man, I think it was I think it was Kevin from Quill who put up a post the other day where it was someone saying like, "Hey, would anyone want a 3D print file of a kendama or something like that to 3D print a kendama?" I think it was Kevin. It might have been someone else, but regardless, someone was talking about it. It was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool that people could maybe print a file of their favorite kendama shape and print off a resin basically, or like whatever the material is, like the poly, whatever it is." And print a one-up kendama or print a boost kendama or whatever, and those brands could sell a license to their shape or something for 3D
Yeah,
printing.
that would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. I
3D print kendamas, that would be cool for sure. If you could like perfect it somehow.
Yeah, we'd have to figure out something to do with like the technology in terms of the matting and stuff, so that way it would still be playable like a kendama in terms of
Right.
like the grip and stuff. Obviously, you'd still be able to do cups because that doesn't matter for paint and stuff like that. But I think there's some cool stuff going out there. But like, imagine like a perfect kendama that is exactly the same across the board, because right now everybody's
Right.
whole thing is like, oh, I want a lunar balanced or a slinger balanced. Okay, well, you could just print it with a higher density of the ink or whatever I don't, I'm not a 3D printing nerd, so
Yeah.
all y'all who tune into this and hear me saying like ink and all stuff, I don't know what it's called. uh, but whatever it is, like the cartridge that it fills with, the fill, if you densen it at the base of it, you're gonna obviously be able to form your own slinger hone kendama, or you put more of that up in the cup section, you can get a more lunar hone kendama, and you can customize and control all that. And I think stuff like that will be so cool to see in maybe
That would be
like, I
super
don't think it's
cool.
that far off. I think it's like a year or two,
Wow.
three.
Yeah, it's like somehow like a company could figure out how to make it feel exactly or very similar to a regular kendama. I think that would be super sweet. And then you like people ordering could like customize, yeah, like you were saying, like in the customer notes or something, like customize their exact weights in like a Serato or a sword or something.
Yeah, you'd like upload an engraving or whatever,
Yeah,
and all of
yeah,
that would be factored in. That kind
totally.
of stuff is so cool to me, and so like out of my depth, and I might be speaking a whole lot of bull crap right now in terms of what it can do. I have no idea. I just like assume the best.
Innovation, man, innovation. That could be $1 million idea right there.
Make it happen. Yeah, this is Pineapple's new business opportunity.
That's where we're kicking up.
Okay, talk to me about how you got on well, you talked to me a little bit about how you got on the Pineapple team, but talk to me about your mod and you designing it, your first one, and into V2, and what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, so that kind of like the idea came after there were player mods, like the OG player mods that Pineapple had. It was Rowley's mod, Matthew Sprague, he used to be on Pineapple, and Ryan. Like that was like the first three player mods that they designed, obviously. And that was like the first package I got to back in 2018. So it kind of like originated off those. Like it was like maybe like 9 months after those dropped or something, 9 to 10 months. Ryan asked if I wanted a mod, and I was like, yes, I want a mod. Like I want to design one for sure. I kind of knew the idea behind it already. Like I'd planned something for a player mod, and he was like, I think you're ready. Like I think you're ready to make your own pro mod. And I was like, oh really? Like a pro mod? Like let's go. Like I'm down for a pro mod. Like I was all in for sure.
Was that a shock to hear that? Like, did you think you were ready?
At first I was like, whoa, like that's surprising. I was not expecting it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at first I was like, oh, you sure? Like you want to do this? Like you want to make me a pro mod? And he was like, yes. Like I think you're like, let's make you pro. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Like I knew I had to step up too. Like I was ready. Um, so yeah, when that was like between us, when we were talking about that, that's when I had my idea of kind of the first colorway. And that's like, it's the same colorway as this, but it's just in different spots. Like besides the natty, my first one didn't have natty. Um, but the first mod, I should have brought one in. It was supposed to be based off my favorite clothing brand here in Portland called Polar. And that's
Okay, not
a
familiar with it.
Polar, yeah, it's their flagship stores here in Portland. They started it in Portland. Now it's like I think they have one international store in like Japan or something. Um, they're still pretty small, but they're like a camping brand. They make a lot of cool camping stuff, and I love camping. I love the outdoors. You know, here in Portland, I love how many different climates you can get to in such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another. I'll talk about that as well. But originally, it was supposed to be based off the Polar brand. Um, it was going to be like because they had a lot of like green and orange in their apparel. So I was like wanting to originate off their colors, kind of, and I really wanted their logo on the Tama, but I didn't know how that could happen. But yeah, originally I wanted it based off of Polar, and then they went out of business, like bankrupt, like shortly before the mod was already in production, and then they went bankrupt because they're out of business completely. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense anymore. So I thought about like it's kind of crazy how it worked out because the colors together, like kind of formed the idea it is now, which is the different climates in Oregon. You got the green for the national forest, got a ton of trees here in Oregon, tons of
Mm-hmm.
greenery, lots of green. Like someone who's coming from like the south, or like someone who's coming from a big dry area and they come to Portland, they're not going to be used to the green. Like I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of people say like, oh, it's so green.
I assume it's
Um,
pretty comparable to like lower mainland BC, like that Vancouver area, right?
for
Like
sure
kind of
is, yeah. Just
humid,
amazing.
rainy, tons of like trees, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of trees. So that's where the green is like, just the forests here in Oregon. And then you got the white, and that's just for like all the mountains we got a lot of mountains. We got Mount Hood, which is like one of the only ski areas you can come to in the summer. Like help, like a lot of people come to Mount Hood, like even internationally, nationally, to come ski it in the summer because it's one of the only places you can
They
actually
stay open
ski.
year round?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, not many mountains around you can ski in the summer. So Mount Hood like stands out a lot for that. So the snow really resembles just, or the white really resembles just the snow in Oregon, like Central Oregon, but mainly a lot of Mount Hood too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the orange is just like desert. You can go to really dry areas in Oregon as well, and like an hour and a half you can get to straight dry, or an hour and a half you can go to straight snow, or you can go to the beach in an hour and a half too. It's all very close, and
Yeah.
it's there's so many different climates you can get to in Oregon in such a short amount of time, at least from Portland. And that's like the new inspiration in my new mod here too. It wasn't even planned, but I was like, oh, I could add the natty for like the beach too, like for the
Yeah.
sand color. So I was like, so it totally resembles like Oregon as a whole for the climate.
Yeah.
It wasn't even planned. Like it was just the orange and the green and the white with the first one based off of the clothing brand. And then that didn't work out. So I thought of that, kind of winged it out, which is, it just kind of fit. It's just meant to be that way.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's super cool. I love when people design their mods with their home in mind, not
Right.
only just their interest, but like they bring a piece of like where they grew up into their mod. I think that kind of stuff is so cool, and especially when there's like meaning behind the lines and the coloring, and it's not just like, oh, it's great for tracking. Sure, great,
Yeah.
it is great for tracking, but is it more than that? Because
Yeah.
the
I
more
think
that
it
we
goes
can tell those
more.
stories, the more that people want to participate in them too, right? And that's the beauty behind a good pro mod is if your pro mod helps to tell a story that other people want to partake in, they are way more likely to want to like grab that thing and play it too. Because it's like, oh, this mod means something. That was like the Max Norcross, his new mod. I really liked my chat with him talking about his design process, and basically his whole mod is just filled with all the crap he's had to like overcome in his
Yeah.
life.
I remember watching
And
that. That was super cool.
yeah, probably one of the most like famous episodes on the Brewview is that one. But like just chatting with him about his mod and like overcoming adversity in his life, and that Kendama just like stands as like kind of like I beat all these things and I can beat this game too,
Yeah.
and just continually pressing it. And I love that story, and it's like it makes me want to play that Kendama more. It makes me want to play all those things. I want to participate in the Oregon scene. This is
Yeah.
my Dama. If I want to feel like I'm there, I'm gonna rep this when I go out there for sure. You know it, like that.
That's
That's gonna
awesome.
be the vibe there. And so I love that. I love that a lot. And so you said you were working on designing a V3.
Six.
What is if you're willing, what is something you want to tease to us about the new Kendama?
That's something that I'm still kind of deciding. It's not like a fully, it's not even in production or anything kind of thing, but I know it's going to happen. I could carry on the same meeting, which I've been kind of like time between. So I'm not going to, there's not a fully set in stone thing, but I have an idea. Um, so the first mod that came out, like with the green, like the dominant color was green. So I was thinking, oh, this one can be mainly forest dominated with the green, like kind of a
Hmm.
for the main like color scheme is green, so it's going to be more of like the forest mod, but with the background of the desert and the snow kind of deal. This
Hmm.
one, I was like, oh, it's going to be more white, so this one can be a little bit more like a snow dominant inspired Dama, but still with the background meaning too.
Hmm.
Um, so I was thinking about that maybe with the third one, it could be some type of, maybe a deserty kind of dominated meaning with maybe a lot of orange in the Tama, or maybe I can just move on to something else. But I really do like the full meaning of, like, I don't really want to go away from this meaning kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, yeah, I think with the next one, I'm going to make it maybe more of a desert, like desert meaning dominance, but
Yeah,
it's not really set in stone um, idea yet, but that's kind of like what's in the works for me.
that's cool. So outside of your Kendama, then what's next for you in the future? I know you were mentioning about like career, work. What are you doing for work right now? If you want to talk about it.
Yeah. So right now for work, in the meantime, I'm just doing Amazon deliveries.
Heck yeah.
I'm driving those Prime vans
Getting
that
you
you
that
see.
1 day shipping. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm driving those Prime vans that you see like all the time. Like they're definitely in Canada. Like there's no question about that. You probably see
Yeah,
those all the
they're
time.
starting to. The other thing too, like I don't know, there's like I swear there's like an Uber for Amazon or something, because at our place of work we get deliveries like literally all day long, and we are always getting guys like pulling up in pickup trucks, dropping off packages and stuff. It's like, is this the new Uber for delivery?
Sorry, I just froze there. I didn't hear. I didn't fully get that part.
Oh, that's okay. I was wondering, maybe we at our workplace, we get guys that just show up in like minivans or pickup trucks with our packages and stuff. And it's like from FedEx or I think even Amazon and stuff. Like, does Amazon subcontract to like
That's exactly
independent?
that's exactly what they do. That's what I work for. I actually don't work for Amazon. I just work for a
Oh,
contractor. That's pretty much like most of the time when you see someone delivering in a van, it's just a branded van. It's just a branded Amazon van. I think there's some that deliver like you work straight for Amazon, but most of them are just contractors. Like I just work for a third party contractor, and we just go to the warehouse and pick up for the day. And it's like
yeah.
9 hours of delivering all day, pretty much. It's pretty physical, but it gets me going in the meantime. I like to move around. That's what I'm doing right now in the meantime. But I actually just finished up a not degree, it's a certificate, a license. Not many people know this about me, but I just got my LMT license, which is licensed massage therapy.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, I just got my LMT license like a couple months ago.
That's cool.
Um,
So then at NACO this upcoming year, when we're all haggard after the first day
yeah,
of doming, James is gonna go,
let's go.
all right, let's
Yeah,
get her done.
yeah, you can just ask me to help if I'm not already tired enough. But
Yeah.
it was like a 4 year in progress thing. But yeah, I like to help
Oh,
people. So that's kind of where I branched from because after high school, like I didn't even know what to do really, but I, like I went to a community college for like one term and I was just like, this isn't me. I'm not trying to do this kind of like sit down desk thing again. Like I don't want to do this general education. I don't even know what I want to do. So I dropped, I dropped after that term, like dropped out of that college. And I was like, all right, let's go to massage. Like I like massage. Like me and my dad always kind of like would, give each other like little like trade-offs, like back trade-offs, like all the time. And it was something I was like, oh, like I kind of thought of it in the back of my mind, like maybe it's something I'll do like later on. And I didn't expect it to be after high school, but it was.
mm-hmm.
Especially life-threatening car accident. Uh, like kind of like lucky to be alive kind of car accident. And I got massage therapy for free for like a year because it was just a part of the insurance. So I got just a ton of body work done on me, and it helped me like it helped me so much. It was crazy. So after that, I was like, wow, like I kind of want to help people like how it helped me, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
it's a big
yeah,
deal,
I
man.
just went.
Massage stuff helps so much. It's something that I need to go and get done. Like, cause my left knee has been so buggered for quite some time now. And when I dislocated my elbow, like not that it was like massage oriented, but it was like physiotherapy that I had to do for my elbow. And I didn't take it super seriously and I regret it. Like I don't know if you can like tell, but like this elbow doesn't go straight like this elbow anymore. I never stretched it out enough.
Uh, yeah, it's
So
important for sure. Yeah,
I will never have the same amount of range as my other one now. And that's
uh,
just life.
yeah, how it is. Yeah,
I could maybe stretch it
yeah.
out.
I'm
Like I think I don't know, mate. Do you know? Could I potentially like save this elbow and like stretch it now? It's been like 4 years since it happened. Like just
was it like a sprain kind of thing,
I dislocated my
or
elbow. It popped. It went. It popped right out. So it was
because it
haggard.
can be hard to fully heal it. I mean, if you didn't do it, like focus on like PT work, like physical therapy in the beginning, it might be hard to do it now.
Yeah. Ah,
Yeah, I think the scar tissue,
it's in the
man,
past.
it probably built up over there, but I'm glad you can at least fully like mostly do it. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not too
But yeah,
bad.
that's the career for at least like, the meantime. I don't know if it's something I'm going to be doing for the remainder of my life, but
Sure.
it's just,
The lifespan of
uh,
a massage therapist, that it's not that long, is it? They don't last
it
super long.
it can be if you have proper body mechanics. Um, I've had some instructors at my school. They're like, "Yeah, I've been doing massage for 50 years, 40 years, like crazy." Like yeah, you have to be very cautious of your body, depending on
Because you
what
can
style.
burn your own body out doing it.
I mean, there's so many different styles you can do. Lots of people like deep work, which is like important, but not as important as you think. But yeah, you just really have to focus on body mechanics because if you're just using your hands, if you're just using your arms, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn out in like 5 years. But if you use proper body mechanics, like thinking of your hands last kind of deal, like
Mhm.
body weight shifting, you can last a long time for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's super cool and relatively like unexplored by a lot of people. I used to kind of like laugh at massage therapy, not like laugh, but I was like, oh, that's just like what people do to like fake de-stress. They're like, oh, I need to go get a massage, and it's like, do you? I think you just need to deal with your problems. But then I realized like, no, no, no. I went for a massage a while back, and all of a sudden I was like, oh no, I'm a believer. I think this is
Oh,
dope.
yeah,
It helps so much.
there's two different sides of it. There's, obviously spa relaxing, like you're not going in to get fixed. It's not therapy.
Yeah.
like that's masseuse.
Yeah,
Like that
that's
I don't like it when people say, "Oh, you're going to be a masseuse." That's cool. It's not masseuse. I'm going to be a licensed massage therapist. It's clinical. It's therapy. You're actually helping someone.
yeah. Do you have
I'm
to
not.
pass like a bar or a test or anything like that to be like certified? Is that part of the process?
Yeah.
Because like
So
I could be a masseuse today, right? That's the difference. Is like I could just open up shop and be
is that
like,
how it is in Canada?
I think so for like a masseuse, the difference because we in Canada like there's RMTs, registered massage therapists, and then there's
Uh,
masseuses,
really?
which either
Okay.
both have like they are a work from home, they just massage people, or it has another more sexual connotation that kind of comes with the terminology of masseuse, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, but like from my understanding, I could become a masseuse without any sort of education background or anything like that, and just like start a business doing massages.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be clinical and it wouldn't be covered by insurances and stuff like that. So if I got injured and I needed to get massage therapy done, I can't just go to my buddy and who opens up, his massage parlor or whatever. I have to go to an RMT.
Yeah. That's just where you want to go to get your massages. Like I recommend that to anyone if they're
Yeah,
like wanting to get their help or just massage in general. You got to go to some professional and individual. That's the way to
totally.
go.
So then, where does Kendama fall in your life in the next couple of years, outside of continuing to play and launching this potential new mod that you're working on? Do you want to keep growing in competition, or where do you see your role in the Kendama community 2 to 3 years from now?
Um, I'm not like right now at the moment. I'm not super focused on getting insanely good at competition. Maybe I mean over the years I've gotten gradually better. If it's something I could see like at the next event, say like I do a lot better than expected, maybe I'll focus a lot on competition. But that's not the first choice. I'd say now just innovating in my style really. Um, Rovers, it's kind of like it's almost like Rovers kind of came to me almost with the style of play. Like I didn't really like shoot, like what I mean. The Rovers kind of found me, like, but I also kind of like picked it in a way as well. But
Hmm.
I think with Rovers, that's kind of like I can see myself sticking with them for a while and pushing other styles of play into Rovers. That's kind of like my goal.
Mm.
Um, so that's kind of what I want to do. Um, in the next, I don't know, next couple of years, I can really see myself just keep pushing as much as I can with that kind of style of play. But who knows? Who knows what'll happen in the next couple of years? That's kind of where I see me now. Um, I see Pineapple growing more as well with their new shape coming out too. Um,
When's that supposed to drop?
it dropped the
Oh,
maple.
yeah. I saw that the new shape.
Shape.
I was like, there's another new one.
Yeah, I mean, we got some other stuff like other woods and islanders coming out as
Cool,
well, um, right around the corner.
super
But yeah,
cool.
that's the goal too. The next couple of years is growing pineapple. Like just seeing
Are
what we can do.
Yeah. Are you hoping to be more intentional in your role with Pineapple, like becoming part owner, working with Ryan more intentionally that way, or do you see your involvement mostly as a player pushing the company?
Yeah, as player pushing the company, but still like behind the scenes with Ryan, just not in the business aspect. Like
Sure.
we definitely innovate the company together. The whole team really innovates as
Hmm.
well.
Is
Um,
that something you'd like to get involved in at some point? Is working more on the business side of things? Is that something you care about, or you're like, nah, nah, nah. I'm here to play Kendama. I'm dope with helping push it a little bit, but like I don't want to be in that.
I mean, I've thought about it. It could be a possibility, but at the same time, I do just kind of want to stick as a player who's pushing the company at the same time.
Cool. That's
Um,
cool, man.
yeah,
Dude, I love it. I love it. And I've loved the journey that you've been on. It's super cool to see your growth and your progression. And I think in this past year you really started to make a name for yourself, particularly as you really focused on Rovers in some capacity. And I think that's the thing that a lot of players right now need to pick up on is if you want to start standing out in the Kendama community, you have to really focus on finding your lane to play in if you want to stand out in that way. Because if you're trying to compete with the mass amount of kids in Romania that are all doing taps and juggles, you're
yeah,
5 years behind them. You're
it's
not
not gonna,
gonna.
it's
You're
not
gonna
gonna.
have. Yeah, you're gonna have to grind your butt off to compete with those little Romanian kids that are just kicking your butt every day. They show up to the reason that Americans keep winning comps is because Romanian kids don't have the money to come to the US
Yeah,
and compete. Just wait till they come.
So true. Just wait till it happens.
Wait till wait till they get on a boat and they come to America.
Wait till T-Plex
Yeah,
just
Tiplex has
conquers.
been showing up to more comps online though, so I'm
Wait
actually
till
surprised that he hasn't like taken a dub on it yet. I don't know if he like doesn't like competing very much, but him and like Radu also is like another like I think he's Romanian. I think he
I
is.
think yeah, I've seen that
Yeah,
thing a couple
so nuts. Oh, so freaking nuts. But dude, no,
times.
seriously, you've been paving your own lane, and I think people should learn from that and saying like, oh,
I get
find something that you're unique in and really focus on pushing that thing. For me, I grew really quickly in popularity when I like focused on doing swivels at that season of my life, like what, 8 months ago or something, where I really put the effort into trying to explore this trick that no one was really touching aside from a couple tricks that were unique that were in like Ben Harold's edits or Lucas Sangren, and I think Benjamin Mastic might have been messing around with some unique stuff, but like no one was touching it. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this trick. It's silly. What can I do to it to make it unique? And I just started messing with it and playing with it. And all of a sudden, I just kind of became the swivel guy, and
yeah.
you became the rover guy. And then all of a sudden, people are like, oh, inspired by James Pineapple, inspired
It's
by
it.
Cafe
Yeah.
Kendama. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, I got 5 new followers, 10 new followers, 20. And all of a sudden, brands are noticing you, following you, reposting, check out this new trick, blah, 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 exploring the concept. And you start making a name for yourself. But if all you're trying to do is match what other people are doing, you're going to get so drowned out by everybody else that's just doing it
Oh, for
better.
sure. 100%. Yeah.
Unless you're
I
Nick
mean,
Gallagher and you can do everything better than everybody.
yeah, that was for sure me before Rovers. I mean, like I was trying to do every kind of style, and that was I hadn't found my style for a long time. And it was back to NAKO 2019. I did my first 720, and I was told it was the first one ever done, but I wasn't 100% sure about that. Um, but from there on, I was like, same with your story with swivels. I was like, I gotta push this. Like, not many. I don't see many people doing this. I think I can make you know, make my own
Mhm.
style, just kind of play. And just on what you were explaining, like the popularity grew. People were
Mhm.
inspired by the play, which is like the best feeling ever when
Oh,
someone
those
like
posts are the best. I love that.
it's just like so heartwarming. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
If you
what's
guys are
fun is
listening to this, tag your favorite pro when you do a trick that is genuinely inspired by them. Don't just put that in there just to get their attention, but if it's genuinely inspired by their playstyle. If you tag me in something that's like taps and juggles and say inspired by Cafe Kendama, I'm gonna say this was not inspired by me.
it's like I think you tagged the wrong guy, man.
I think you got the wrong one. But no, seriously, like I think we are getting to this like larger scale of community where I think people are more timid to tag a pro or more timid to reach out. Reach out. We're
Well,
I'm not a pro, but like we're right here.
dude, for sure. I get recently, it's been crazy how like just I guess the past 6 months, like so many players have been asking how to do a 720 Rover, and
Yes.
I'm more than happy to help them because they're like, I got 360s down so good, but like there's that this extra rotation so hard, and I totally understand because it's the weirdest trick to learn, but I'm more than happy to reach out to anyone trying to learn a 720 Rover.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
it,
walk us through it right now. And then after this, let's take some time to answer some questions that came in ahead of time through my stories. And for people that want to ask questions next time, check out my stories. I'll be putting up Q&A tools there. You get it? But
yeah,
talk us through how you do a 720. I've never done one, but I've done 360s
um,
plenty. I've even done a 360 opposite rotation, but I've never done 720 or 450 or
720.
540.
720 is so weird to learn because I kind of like studied the trick in a way. Um, it's you really want to focus on like when learning it. At least I always refer people to the first video I did for inward 720 because it's POV. You can see it really well, and you over exaggerating the movement at least when learning helps a lot because you just want to think about if you have regular 360s down, you can like you start on the right and build your way up. And when it's right here, like 360 around, you're up at the top level here, and you have so much room underneath. So you can push the Tama around. Like you kind of like stir. I always say you stir the soup.
Oh, but
You
you're
stir,
like stirring up. You're
starting to
like pushing it up again.
Yeah, so it's like 360 around, and then like if you're just keeping your hand in the same place, it's just gonna fall off. So you need to push the gravity into the kendama to like make it like push around. You have to push up and spin it to like it's just a very slight
Yeah.
but strict motion. It's like once the 360 is around, you're just pushing it up a little bit so it can fully go around, and then that's when you like put the brakes on. That's what I always like to say, because you're pushing it this way, your hands like that when it's 360 around, and then you're pushing it around, and then to put the brakes on it, you're just kind of sliding the tama back. So
Yeah.
it's like stopping it, and that's when you're
Like in a 360, it's the same way that you would stop it. But
same
it's
way.
that second like pull it up and then push it up one more time. I'm like, woo.
You're
It's like
stirring
you're
the
casting your
like,
wand.
yeah, you're like casting something, you're stirring the soup. You could say it in many different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That makes sense though. I've never thought about it that way. I thought I like whenever I've ever attempted them, I just like try to like whip them like 720 and just see if I can like move it fast. Because whenever I'd watch people do 540s, that's all it ever looked like was they were just like and just
it's
like
more like
hucking it.
140. 720, I like to split it into two different sections of a trick. You can do it in one section. That's the weird thing about 720. So you can do it so many different ways. And it also depends on the kendama you're using, like how good it is for lunars, obviously. Like there's so many different ways you can do a rover. It's crazy. And now the way I do it is like I like to do as limited movement as I can. Like I go like up and down. But when
I keep
learning,
it real tight.
I highly recommend like over exaggerating side to side when learning it. Once you get them dialed in, the up and down movement is the way to go for me at least. But
Do
yeah,
you
that's
think um sorry, I just like thought of this when I watched you doing this. But you're in the skate community. Obviously, you know of like scootering tricks and stuff like that. But like a tail whip rewind. Do you think that's possible with a rover?
awesome you say that because I've thought about it like a insta reverse kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
like pull it and then like even like halfway, like reverse the direction. But
I've tried it. I haven't grinded like I haven't really like
do you think
broke
it's possible though?
well for sure. I've like broke it down into pieces, but I should more. It's just such a tough trick because the gravity pushing it this way. But
Yeah.
I think it's definitely possible for sure, like an insta, like kind of like reverse thing. I definitely want to mess around with it for sure.
Yeah. Or if anything, like use your left hand and like just like put a block up and then it like push it back the other direction or something. Or I've
Yeah.
always thought like if you, I don't know how you would do it, but like pop your thumb up, like where you do a turntable rewind. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Where you like turntable it and then you use your thumb to push it back the other way. If you did that with
Oh,
a
yeah.
rover,
Yeah.
where you rover it around and then you use your thumb to push it back the other direction.
You're giving me some great ideas here, Adam.
Don't worry, this episode's not going live for a few days, so you got a couple days before the masses start attempting. That's cool, man. Okay, let's take a couple minutes here. Let's talk through some of the questions here from people that want to know more about James Pineapple. Frankly, there's a couple questions in here about pizza, pineapple pizza in
Oh
particular.
my god. I
Uh,
totally expected this one.
yeah, so Left Unsaid Music and Jarrett Black both asked, do you like pineapple on pizza? Or the other person asked, pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
It's a yay for me. I like pineapple on pizza.
Was that a contingency to joining Pineapple Kendama? Do you guys all, when you gather, only eat pineapple pizza? Is this a thing?
I like pineapple on pizza to play for the company. Not totally kidding, but I
I
mean,
no,
does
I think you guys should set that as a rule. Like, I don't know.
that's just like that's the entry into pineapple. You have to
It's a you guys all gather in Ryan's basement, you all wearing hoods and with a big pineapple pizza. New recruits coming in. Will you eat or will you not? And it's like
yeah,
that's how you determine whether or not they're in. Super cultish ceremony.
I love it.
I can dig it.
I definitely like pineapple on pizza. I mean, maybe it's not my first choice, but I'm definitely not opposed to it.
What
Like
is your first choice?
first choice, oh man, probably like a classic like pepperoni, but with like really good seasoning kind of
Okay.
deal.
I had a pizza not that long ago that had an Alfredo sauce base. It was like a chicken Alfredo pizza.
Ooh,
Or no, it was a chicken garlic parm. That's what it was. It was a garlic parm sauce, and we added chicken, and we
there you
added some
go.
other things to it, like green peppers and whatever. So
That
freaking
sounds
good.
great.
It's from Panago, or not Panago, Domino's. You guys have Domino's
Oh,
down in the States?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah, yeah. If you go to Domino's, get the garlic parm sauce, and it's fantastic. Assuming you guys have it down there. Usually,
Yeah.
if Canada has it, America has that plus 10 other options. Usually.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay, Kendama Jinchuriki 34 wants to know, what is your dream trick, and do you have goals for Kendama future? We talked a little bit about your future Kendama goals, but what's your dream trick?
Oh man, like it's so hard to pick one, but it would probably have to be like either like a rover trick or something out of my zone, which would be
Mm,
something with like a jug to like crazy stall. I don't know. There's this one I thought of a long time ago, but it's not as I would say it's not as crazy. I mean, it's definitely crazy, but I think someone like Nick Gallagher could do it easy. But like a Quint stilt flip, like insta jug, penguin wing has always been something that I've like really thought that would be just super sick and insane for me at least to land. Like that was like something that I really wanted to like thought I could probably never hit like a couple years ago. Um, that for like a juggle trick, definitely something like crazy still stally kind of deal. But for a rover trick, like a dream rover trick of mine right now is honestly just like the next rotation is like 14
1440.
1440 for sure. Like 1260, I think I know I could get, but like a 1440 is like beyond me at least right now because I haven't like really put it into pieces.
Yeah,
Um,
crazy.
something else I really want to get to is like a 360, 720, 1080 rover is definitely still like a dream trick I want to get.
Oh, like the 1, 2, 3 of Rovers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so hard to work with a rover trick that's over and over because the string makes its way under the cup very easily, and the string tangle is just insane with like a crazy rover trick back to back. It's super hard with the string.
yeah.
Um, and that trick 360, 720, 1080 is like a straight phone number trick. 360-720-1080. It's a phone number trick.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even realize that. That's a solid, what is that, like
I'm
9
calling
digits?
that, yeah, I'm calling that number when I get the trick.
The 10 digits, right? Yeah, that's 10. Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I've never thought about that. Yeah, you should call that number. You could put that in the edit. Like if you make an edit out of that trick and you could be like dialing the number at 1180.
Yeah.
That would be a fun intro to that edit if you did it. Where it's like, hello, this is James Pineapple. Whatever,
Yeah.
I always call you James Pineapple, even though that's not your last name, but that's just like how I know you. It's your
Like people at events just call me that too. Like at RBKR, it was like every time going up, it's like, all right, James Pineapple, let's go.
How do you pronounce your last name? Did I pronounce it right?
You actually
Wetherell?
did pronounce it right. That's the British way of saying it. So it's a British, very British last name. It's like a pretty popular last name out in like, Britain
Yeah.
area, UK.
How
Um,
do wait? So I
Wetherell,
pronounced it right, but you were surprised. How do people normally pronounce it?
whether all, like
All
A,
instead of L.
yeah,
Wetherell.
like you can say Wetherell, like that's like the British way is Wetherell. Whether all is not, I would say it's like definitely not the right way to say it, but the English way to say it is Wetherell. That's kind of what I
Yeah.
say more is Wetherell, but British way is Wetherell.
Yeah, for sure. Huh,
Yeah,
cool. N. Toucan. Ian wants to know who your favorite teammate is and why.
dude, I just knew Ian was gonna ask this.
Is Ian your favorite? This is gonna go
Ian,
live.
Ian's deep down my guy. So yeah,
Where's he from?
he's from Louisiana. He's
Oh,
definitely the long time homie of Pineapple. He got on like a couple years ago now. Um, yeah, big shout out Ian. He's like one of my closest friends on Pineapple. Yeah, I gotta say, Ian is definitely one of my favorites for sure.
hmm,
But
that's
shout out
cool.
to
He
I
seems like
love
a solid dude.
yeah, I love all the teammates.
I'm pretty
Like
sure I played against Ian in
I think you
NACO.
won.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
beat him.
I'm sure you did. Nice.
I forgot about that.
Watch those.
It was such a fun match, though. He's a solid dude. I like him. Okay,
He's-
Brando sounds. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, go for it. You're good.
Brando sounds. He wants to know how many minutes or hours is your daily Kanama session? How much do you play a day on average?
It really depends. I mean, with my work schedule, it's pretty hard to play a lot every day. Um, because it's such a physically demanding job. After work, I'm like most of the
Just burnt.
time I'm not really playing much, but I definitely pick it up. If there's a long day and I'm even burnt out, I still gotta pick it up. I gotta
Yeah.
do you know, like a trick I have to do every day. I have to do a triple J stick like at least once a day.
Dude, I
That's
need to
like
get better at trip J's.
trip
I
J.
gotta start doing that more.
That's just a trick. Like, you know, I'm like, oh, I didn't really play today, but like, I'm gonna hit a trip J because like I just gotta pick up a Kendama. It's like trip J or like 720, like Rover is like the two tricks I gotta do. Like one of those tricks I gotta do every day. But my daily like it used to be like before I was super busy, I would jam at least an hour and a half like every day going in like before I got super busy. But nowadays it's more on the weekends where I sesh. And when I'm seshing. Like I'm getting together with my buddies and we're seshing like
Mm-hmm.
for like 4 hours, like 4 or 5 hours, like is my like sesh time for sure with the friends. But on myself, like if I'm just jamming by myself, it's usually probably like I don't know, like half hour to an hour. Filming is different. If I'm by myself filming, it could be a couple, just depending on the trick, really. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just depends.
That's cool. Bongs dot and dot bevels wants to know, or actually rather, he says it's a statement. Describe yourself as a kendama trick.
Oh man, that's like
This is a unique one.
it's like I want to say
Good
rover,
question.
but at the same time I want to like if it's a singular kendama trick, is it like I don't know if he means like
Yeah, you can interpret it however you want to interpret it,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
that probably somewhere in that vein of like a single trick or like a type of like combo or something.
I'm just gonna say inward lunar.
Inward
Like
lunar, okay.
love inward lunars. That's my jam. Like most of the time I'm holding the tama, like when I play kendama, and I'm just doing lunar tricks. Like
How does that relate to you though? How are you like an inward lunar?
how I that's just a good question. Like it's hard to say because inward I don't know, like it's how am I like an inward lunar is
Yeah.
just so like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know how to say
It's an
it.
inanimate object, man. I don't know.
It's just me. Like I mean, Rover is like I guess if I were to put it into pieces, like inward lunar and then inward lunar Rover, like that's my style. That's me.
Hmm.
Like I think I can push Rovers good. Like that's just my style. That's me. I can't really compare my personality to Rovers, like if that's the question. But um, yeah, I just gotta say lunar, just inward lunar.
Cool.
That's
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 cool. All right, inward lunar, respectable. That's a respectable trick. Okay, Miles Dama. What's your favorite trick concept besides rovers?
favorite trick concept besides Rovers would be like right now. I'm really liking the like pinches. I guess
Yeah.
that I guess the only pinch thing I can do though is from inward lunar, so I kind of gotta take that out.
No,
Um,
no, no. You can. That's still a concept you can enjoy. You don't have to just because you can't do everything that
yeah.
Benjamin B and whatever.
I really am digging Lake Goons though. Like I'm trying to get I really like Lake Goons and I really do just like when I'm casually playing, like I'm just doing like fun kind of like spam tap kind of insta like style, like when I'm not like, you know, grinding for like
Mhm.
Rover and trying to get Rover tricks. Um so yeah, probably my favorite style aside from it is like late games right now, probably because I'm trying to get better at them and I have a lot of fun doing it. Like it's a really fun trick to try and grow on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say late game because it's kind of like the modern style and it's like something that I want to get better at and I enjoy doing it. So probably
yeah.
like
That's cool. That's super cool. Are you gonna do more YouTube edits? I know that you have like a couple older ones, like a POV one and stuff, but from what I could find, there wasn't like a ton of content on YouTube for you. But come on, man, let's get on the YouTube train, you know?
I've been putting it off for so long. Like I have one POV edit out and I've grown a lot as a player since then. So I think yeah, I've been thinking about making a Rover edit. I think
Oh, that would be cool.
a Rover edit could be fun. I always have like just Rover tricks in mind, like with like current kind of concepts. So I think that would be cool to do a Rover edit. Um, a team edit would be cool too, but it would be cool to maybe do a POV edit too. They just
Yeah.
take at least 6 months for me.
Heck yeah. Do it, man. Dude, I can't. I want more YouTube content. That's my pitch for the year. So I just want to see more YouTube content. I'm thinking about starting a React channel or a React series on YouTube just to encourage more people to create YouTube content. So
I
that, sorry.
I agree with it. I think it should be pushed more. I mean, it's so easy just to get a
Well,
trick on Instagram. Like,
not only that, I'm not even thinking about that. Like, sure, there's like an intrinsic rewarding value to it, but for me, it's like even going back to the beginning of our conversation today, like you were talking about how you only found Kendama through your friend and you got into it because of YouTube.
yeah,
You didn't know to look on Instagram. It's not as user friendly, but when you go on Google and you search Kendama, you're going to find YouTube videos. You're not going to find Instagram. And so that's where you go first. And so if you want to
yeah,
reach new players, YouTube is the place to reach them, I think.
very true. Very, very true.
So create some edits, stand
Like,
out. They live longer. Plus, they get the big fat views if they do really well. Get the
yeah,
Zumadonke views.
yeah, dude. Well, now that you're gonna
Billions.
start posting on YouTube more too with these, I don't know if you post every podcast on YouTube.
Yep. Yeah. This will be up on YouTube. A lot of the previous episodes are already up on YouTube, so people can catch those there. And it's been a great opportunity for just more attention towards the review podcast. Like, it's like
uh,
some of the episodes have gotten like another 80 views or whatever, which isn't that much, but that adds up over time. It's like, oh,
does
you start throwing another 80 views into the mix. Now an episode's getting closer to 1,000 downloads or whatever, however the metrics you want to look at it all. I could nerd out about podcast analytics for a little bit, but that's for a nerdy podcast on just podcast analytics.
well, I think it's super cool like that you've done so much for the community with podcasts, and I thank you for it because it's amazing. I love it. It's super
Hey,
cool.
thank you, man. I'm just playing in the same playground that the Dominards have been playing in for a long time, and I'm grateful to be here. They've been doing a killer job, and there's some really good content creators out there that are just
Yeah,
doing solid work, and it is honestly like a privilege and an honor to just be a part of that space. I realized probably later into my economic career that I am not going to be a top competitor. I am not going to be a pro player. Sure, I could maybe get sponsored by a team, but like I didn't really have all that ambition to become a pro. I like my independence, I like my individuality. And
yeah,
this ended up being like the perfect space for me where I get to own it, I get to control it, and I get to set my
yeah,
hours and my schedule and just run this thing that I like doing and chatting with people over coffee or
yeah. That's
water or
great.
whatever. It's been so fun. I love it.
Podcast kind of found you, right? Wasn't it like an
Yeah,
accident? Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like sometimes it just comes to you. Like,
totally. And I think that's the same for people's trick play styles and stuff. It's like the moment that you let go of trying to be like other people, you will find yourself more.
it's literally,
And
yeah, exactly with the Rovers. Like, it just came to me eventually. Took
yeah,
years.
yeah, exactly. If that's the lesson you get out of this episode, to those of you that are listening, I hope you hear that. Like, learn to let go of your own expectations of who you want to be, and just start enjoying where you're at, and you will find yourself a lot faster that way. You're trying to
Yes,
look for it.
yes.
You're not going to find it very fast. But
Patience, man. Patience.
yeah. Well, James, hey, we've been cruising for about 2 hours here. Let's bring a wrap to it. I always like to close up these conversations by kind of putting the ball in your court and asking, what would you like to say to the Kendama community through the podcast here, if there was a few things that you wish that they would hear from you?
Yeah, man. Very similar to what you're just saying. Like, like if you continue to play for yourself and you're not, you know, like like put yourself out of your box and see what you can do. But if you still play for yourself and let something come to you, and you can see yourself, you know, you can see what style you have for the future for yourself. Just stick to something that you think you can really push, and if you continue to play for yourself, you will have fun with Kendama. And also, like don't compare yourself. I know it's been said. I know this has been said on previous episodes, but just don't compare yourself to others, and you know don't try to do something that you don't want to do,
Mm.
just to, like, if you think it'll get you out there, um, just stick to what you know and push it. Just have fun, just play for yourself. Ultimately just play for yourself.
Yeah,
um,
play for you, man.
yeah, if
Play
you
for
continue
you.
to do that, you will thoroughly enjoy Kendama, and you will see an improvement for sure.
Yeah, I'm tired of the rat race in Kendama right now. There, and it definitely exists, that whole like, oh, we need to hustle to become the best or all these things. Just slow
uh,
down,
and
enjoy
don't
it.
For the newcomers, just don't let like the media get to you. Like, I know it
Yeah.
can, at least it did for me. Like when I
Yep.
first saw it, um, like a lot of these players have been playing for 7, 8, 9 years. You'll get there. you just got to stick to what you know. Just have fun. You'll
Yeah,
get there.
absolutely.
Basically.
Absolutely. And James, how can the listeners of the Brewview support you? Where can they find you and engage with the content that you're creating? And what can they do to support what's going on in James Wetherell's world?
Honestly, just Pineapple or the Pineapple Instagram, my Instagram. I wish I had more YouTube content, but you know, if anyone.
James.pineapple on Instagram, right?
Yep, yep.
Not full word pineapple. James.pnpl. And then
James.
Pineapple Kendama or Kendamas on Instagram.
Yep.
Which one is it?
Uh,
Kendama?
James dot pineapple and pineapple kendama full. Yeah.
Kendama full. Awesome. And they can, do you have James mods live on the site? Are they still
Yep.
available?
Yep. There's James Mods live.
Yo, cop.
The polar ice. This one is coming. There's one on the maple, so you can get like this setup like the
Is that
full.
the new Ken?
This is the new shape. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, you can get these on the new Islander shape. They're owned. They're chunky. They're a lot bigger than the past Tropic.
Oh, that's big. Yeah, no, that's way
If
bigger.
you like a good chunky can that slaps lunars and slingers, like it's a great Dama for you. Like
Awesome. That's cool, man. James, thank you so much for coming on the review today. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I think that there's a lot of value here for especially new players that are trying to find their way in the Kendama community. I think you offer so much there to those players that are caught in the hustle and need to learn to just like take a step back, slow down, and see the bigger picture and recognize your space and find where you're at. Uh, we're not all destined to be the best players of Nick Gallagher, but you do have your own lane that you get to play in and enjoy that and learn to find the joy in it. And I'm excited to see what comes next from you, James. I'm excited to see more Rover content. I'm excited to see more other content too from you guys, and I'm excited to see what's coming from Pineapple in the future. Yeah, you teased a couple things for me, and I gotta prep my bank account for some stuff. But
man, I
James,
appreciate it.
thank you so much, man, and we will catch you again sometime.
Yeah, sounds good, Adam. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.